February 28, 1997. News helicopters carved through the Los Angeles skyline like they'd been scrambled for war, because what was unfolding below looked exactly like one. Cameras locked onto two figures in the parking lot, bulky, black, armored head to toe like something out of a military operation gone rogue. They moved without flinching, without hiding. They stood in open daylight and fired again and again and again. On the ground, hundreds of LAPD officers had responded to what should have been a routine bank robbery. They had the numbers, but numbers didn't matter when your bullets weren't stopping anyone. Every shot the police fired bounced off. The two men kept walking, keep shooting, like they were untouchable, like they knew something the entire Los Angeles Police Department didn't. That morning, two men didn't just rob a bank, they exposed a terrifying gap at the heart of American law enforcement, and nothing would ever be the same. Larry Phillips Jr. didn't stumble into a life of crime, he was born into it. His family had a history of robbing trains and looting graves, men who looked at the law as something that applied to other people. Larry grew up watching that, absorbing it. By the time he was old enough to make his own choices, the blueprint was already drawn. He tried to do things differently at first. He got into bodybuilding, chased the image of success, even dabbled in real estate. But legitimate money moved too slowly for a man built on shortcuts. Scams were easier, faster, and Larry was good at them. Then he met Emil Matasareanu. The two crossed paths at Gold's Gym in the early 1990s, two men with the same bitter edge and the same obsession with firearms. Where Larry was calculating, Emil was physical. Together, they were dangerous. What started as property scams escalated quickly. Armed robberies, bigger targets, higher stakes. They weren't stumbling into this, they were building towards something, and Los Angeles made it easy. In the early 90s, the city was bleeding. A bank robbery occurred somewhere in LA every 45 minutes. Banks hardened their security. Criminals hardened their methods. The arms race between law enforcement and robbers was already underway, and Larry and Emil were keeping pace. Then came 1993, a routine traffic stop. An officer pulled them over for speeding and found a car loaded with rifles and body armor. It should have ended everything. Instead, they received a short sentence, walked out as convicted felons, and came back angrier, more focused, more reckless. By 1995, they crossed a line there was no returning from. A security guard was killed during one of their jobs. That single moment transformed them from armed robbers into something law enforcement had a different name for entirely. The most dangerous kind of criminal, the kind with nothing left to lose. They spent months building themselves into something the police had never seen before. Homemade Kevlar padding stitched and wrapped around their arms, legs, and torsos. Automatic AK-47s modified to fire without pause. Drum magazines carrying hundreds of rounds each. Larry and Emil didn't plan a robbery, they engineered a siege. By the time February 28th arrived, they believed they were untouchable, but the bank had other plans. The vault was supposed to hold $750,000, a Friday cash restock they had timed carefully. Instead, the bank had quietly randomized its delivery schedule. The money wasn't there. What should have been a clean, calculated score turned into a scramble. Their nerves, dulled by barbiturates, made everything slower, heavier. The clock was ticking, and the haul was a fraction of what they came for. Then Larry opened the duffel bag. 3 die packs detonated inside, a burst of red that convinced him the money was gone. He didn't know that most of it was sealed in plastic, still intact. He walked out of that bank believing he'd failed before the real chaos even started, and then he raised his rifle anyway. Larry stepped into the parking lot and opened fire. Hundreds of rounds tore through the street. Officers scrambled behind car doors that offered almost no protection. Their 9mm rounds hit him and did nothing. He kept walking, keep shooting. The LAPD realized within minutes that they were in a fight they had no tools to win. But the plan was collapsing from the inside. Illegal modifications caused both rifles to jam at critical moments. Dye-stained and separated, the two men were forced apart into the surrounding neighborhood. The operation was fracturing in real time. Larry fell first, cornered, down to a single Beretta, firing one-handed until he couldn't anymore. Emil made it to a pickup truck, but the driver had taken the keys. He was trapped. SWAT closed in and found the one gap in his armor, his legs. Precise shots from below the vehicles ended the siege. 44 minutes, nearly 2,000 rounds, 12 officers and 8 civilians wounded, and a police force left standing in the aftermath, staring at weapons that weren't enough. Within months, patrol cars across America began carrying AR-15s. The North Hollywood shootout didn't just end two criminal careers, it permanently changed the face of American law enforcement.